Hey, I'm Anna with Magnolia Mouse Media. Today, I'm fortunate enough to sit here with Coach Ed Abdella. Hey,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I do want to give the spoiler alert that Coach Abdella is actually a former teacher of mine, so I'm a little nervous.
Wasn't it like 28 years ago?
Okay, you keep adding so many. He's wrong. We'll get into that later. Coach, tell us what you do.
Well, I'm a school teacher. I teach history at West Lauderdale High School, and I'm going now into my 30th year. And I am an ultra distance cyclist.
Ultra distant
Yeah,
cyclist and for a cause.
yeah. Well, yeah. All the rides that I've done have been for a cause. This coming summer, 2024, I'll be doing what I've been practicing and training for 6 years, and it's called RAAM. RAAM, which
Race
stands for
across America.
America, right? And it's a 3,071 mile race, and you have 12 days to do it. And it goes across 12 states, three deserts, three mountains, and you have 12 days. I want to do something different. I want to do something that not a lot of people do, and that became the ultra sports. And I
Okay.
started looking at some of the races, and this one race kept popping up on YouTube, and it was RAAM. And I was watching. It started in 1982, and it was the most incredible thing I think I've ever seen. It was a 3,000 mile race that had to be completed in 12 days, and there are people from all over the world that compete and do
Come
this.
and do it. Since you told me about it, I've looked it up on
Yeah,
YouTube and Facebook and just Google, and I was like, okay. So one trend I'm noticing in all the people I interview is there's always been a "Are you crazy?" And I really
yeah,
don't like to use that term because I'm a mental health care advocate, but that is what people get.
sure.
Like because the ideas are so big or so different. So that was exactly what I thought when I looked it up. I was like,
Yeah,
Abdella's lost it.
yeah. People
He's
look
going to
at
do this.
when I started looking at RAM and looking into it, I realized that this is much more than what people see on YouTube. There's only
Yeah.
359 people that have ever completed it as a soloist.
Wow.
They'll tell you, they'll give you statistics like there are more people that went into space than completed this, more people that climbed Mount Everest
It have
than
completed
yeah
this.
than done this. And it's like, wow, up in Connecticut there was a old bike shop I used to race for, and they were still open. And I went up and visited with them. And when I told him what I wanted to do, he was like, wow, we have a guy in Connecticut. And I said, where is he? He said, all I know is he's a Danbury cop. Ed, it's an expensive race. You're going to pay $30,000, $40,000. It's an expensive race. You understand that? I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm going to get sponsors, and. And so year after year, I would go up and visit my sister during Christmas and look for this guy that did RAM. I'd go to all the bike stores. Last,
Just hoping to run
yeah,
into it.
hoping no, hoping that the person, because obviously if he does RAM, he's got to be attached to a bike
Yeah.
store, has to be.
Yeah.
And so we finally get up there, and this was just last Christmas, and I'm in Reading, Connecticut, and we're at this bike store, and he says, so what kind of rider are you? I said, well, I do a lot of ultra cycling.
Mm-hmm.
He said, well, what races? And I said, well, I did the Natchez Trace 444, which is 444 miles, and you got 44 hours to do it. He said, wow, how long did it take you? I said, 27 hours. And not once did he look at me and go, really? Because I'm heavy. I'm a big guy, and there's not a lot of guys that look like me. But this was the only guy that didn't make any judgment. He
Mm-hmm.
was all excited and wanted to know everything about what do you eat when you're on these long rides. So this is what you qualified. When are you going to do RAM? He says we have a kid that did RAM years ago, and I said he's a Danbury cop. He says yeah, yeah. How do you know? I said I know. What's his name? And when he said Robbie Morlock, my knees buckled. My sister looks at me. She goes, no way. It's
It's
my
the guy.
cousin. Yeah. So I messaged him. And about 2 weeks later, he messaged me back. Now we're constantly talking. And it was just exciting to sit there and talk to him about this. And he says, what you're going to do is one of the neatest races. But the first thing he asked me, and this is what I'm getting to, what are you running from or what are you running towards? I'm like, what kind of question is that? He says, come on, dude, I'm a cop. Why do you think I ride all those miles? And I have no idea because you enjoy cycling. He says, no, come on, man. What are you running from?
Here's
And
the
everything kind of came, because what he went through, years ago, and me and with the military, and I was in 3 different conflicts, so it all kind of came flushing out. And that's kind of,
yeah.
so when people say, that's crazy, why do you do it, there's so much solace when I get on the bike. And there's a lot of times that I like to ride by myself, and I'll get with groups. Like this morning we went with a group, and I love these guys. I love riding with them, I love having conversation with them. But then there's times where I'll go and they'll call me a rabbit, like, and I don't know if they think I'm just trying to be a show off. I'm really not. I think now they realize he's not. I just like to get out there and just kind of, zone out.
It's your peace of mind.
Yeah. And it makes me think about a lot of things, and it keeps stuff in check.
Yeah,
So,
I like that. And so it's a good hobby
right.
for many reasons, physical and mental health. Hey, has anyone from Mississippi ever done this race across America?
No. Mm-mm.
So you would be the first Mississippian to race
one.
across America.
We when I did the Natchez Trace, George Thomas, who I'm just now realizing how big in the ultra cycling world he really is. He's like the great guru of ultra cycling, and I met him because the Natchez Trace 444 is his race,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a qualifier for RAAM. And so
Okay.
we got to talking, and he's just like, man, you got to do RAAM. This is the race you have to do. He said, I'm so excited to have you doing the Natchez Trace 444. Nobody from Mississippi has ever done it as a soloist. And I said, okay, so that was a first. That was really kind of neat. Now we
Yeah.
have 2. There's another guy, he's from Jackson. He did it last year. I'll do it again in October. It'll be my 3rd time to do it. Nothing to prove, just to get ready for RAAM. We're doing this for a cause too. So when I looked up what guys were riding for everything, and I got to thinking, what would be a great thing, because I love Meridian. This is my 30th year now. August will start my 30th year, and I absolutely adore Meridian, and I love the schools that I've taught at 3 different schools. I love every school I've ever taught at, and I've always tried to leave something behind. And so I needed to do a 24-hour challenge, and I talked to the band director and said, let's raise money for the band. You charge them per mile. I'm going to ride around the school, which is 1.6 miles, and you're going to raise money. And they raised about $7,000, which was wonderful.
Awesome.
And not a lot of publicity. It's just Collinsville. We'll do it again this December, and hopefully get a little bit more money. When we did the Bike Around Mississippi, we did it for Mary Hope. This one is much bigger. This RAAM, I said, we're going to attach it to Hope Village. So I contacted the executor at Hope Village, and of course Kathy Parrish works there, and Kathy was at the Natchez Trace ride with me, and she got to talk to a couple of the RAAM guys, RAAM officials, and she said, okay, my boyfriend's going to do this race, and he wants to do it to raise money for Hope Village. And the first question was, what is Hope Village? Hope Village is a place for Mississippi children that have nowhere else to go. And he says, it's an orphanage. No, we don't call it an orphanage. It's a group home for children. And he's like, wow. He says, he's going to raise a couple $1 million. And Kathy's just like, there's no way.
Just
No
like,
possible way.
Here's another one, another big dreamer.
I want to raise $1 million. And Sela Ward was here a few weeks back before I did the Bike Around Mississippi. And my crew chief for RAAM now is from Vermont. His name's Kevin Brooker, one of my best friends. We rode together since we were in college. We raced for the same team. And
I want to go back. Sela Ward is an actress that's from Meridian, Mississippi.
Right.
We're in Meridian, Mississippi. Hope Village is in Meridian, Mississippi. That's all the connection.
Yeah, she's the one that created Hope Village. She bought the property and established. It had always been owned by the Masonic Lodge, and it was a Boys and Girls Club or a Boys and Girls Home. And now, Hope, to keep that going, Sela had donated, I would imagine a lot of money and a lot of time. So she happened to be here, and we got to talk for about an hour. And Kevin
She's
did
on
a lot of
board.
it. Oh God, yeah, she's so excited about this because I told her, I said, I really think this is going to work.
Yep.
Being a school teacher, I know, as a teacher, we have compassion for kids. And I think when people realize that there's a school teacher right across America for kids, teachers they don't have a lot of money. I know that. We don't get paid a lot. We do it because we
Right.
love what we do.
Yep.
But $25 is not a lot of money for what we do. And so I'm going to encourage all the teachers across the country that hear this and see this to go on the website of Hope Village and donate $25, donate $10, $15.
I have worked with children that lived in this home, Hope Village, Meridian, Mississippi, and their lives and their words were really well because of Hope Village. Hope Village is a wonderful establishment. I just don't think we could go on enough about it and why people should support this, and also support you for being a teacher, for being a large thinker, for thinking outside the box, following your dreams, for promoting the activity of cycling. I think it's great.
These aren't kids just from Meridian. These are kids from all over the state of Mississippi, and I don't think people realize that.
I don't either.
That the children that go there are from all over the state of Mississippi, and they come with despair.
Yep.
And they're looking for hope. And not only do they get hope, but when they leave, they have dignity. I was recently up there for a family day with Kathy, and we had the best time. I had the best time with those kids. There was this little girl that said, I say little, she was a high school kid, and she's doing all these doodling because they put the paper on the tables, and we're eating. The guys were barbecuing and we're having lunch, and my kid's there, and she's, so gifted. I looked at her, I said, that's gorgeous. And she said, you really think so? I said, absolutely. I said, is this what you want to maybe do in the future? She says, I just like to doodle. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I had a girl that used to doodle in class all the time. And right now, her name is, and I'm sure I can say it, her name is Peyton Long. Of course,
yeah, I was going to say, is it Peyton? She supports herself as an artist.
Holy cow. And she's like, and so I told her about this little girl that used to, doodle in my class. And I used to get on her all the time, like, you should be listening to lecture. I'm listening to everything you have to say, coach. And of course she did. She was really smart too. But yeah, now she's one of the premier artists in Mississippi. I see her work all over the place. And I told her, I said, look, this is what this girl did. She doodled, but it became a passion.
Yeah.
And now she's able to, actually have a living,
so
have a job.
Shared Peyton's story and success, and that perhaps ignited a fire in this child. You said it was the work of God, and I just want you to know, and I want my audience to know that that's how I feel about Magnolia Mounts in Vettering, Mississippi, because I didn't have to run into you again, but I ran into you because I was filming Grayson.
Right.
And then you told me about this, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to sit down and talk to him again. Okay. And it was on my radar. I really believe there's a lot of God working, in all this. And I hope, he's with you on this race across America. I've got some just curious questions. What do you eat?
So a lot of the stuff that, and this is great too. So when we did the bike around Mississippi, I like turkey sandwiches. And so we were going to do a lot of stuff from Subway, and we started looking at our budget, and I got to thinking, we're going to run out of money. We're not going to have enough money for gas because we have 2 vehicles, because we got to, and then I got to thinking, we're going to run out of food. We have just enough money for food. And I got to worry, it's not just me, it's my crew. They got to eat.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh my God, what do I do? So I called Chris Bullock. I said, Chris, I'm in trouble. Now, he has already sponsored this ride. And he said, what do you need? I said, is there any way Cater's Market can put together some chicken salad sandwiches? Those chicken salad sandwiches, every hour, my crew is giving me one of those sandwiches. And I'm telling you, if you haven't eaten, Cater's Market chicken salad, oh Lord, please go out there and eat it. It's the best. Pimento cheese sandwiches. He gave us enough sandwiches for 2 days, just like he said, a big bag full of sandwiches. and I don't know, you know, you get really, I don't want to say punch drunk, but you get a lot of sleep deprivation
Oh yeah.
with the bike around Mississippi. And I remember talking to Kevin about it, and I said, it's like, you know, he says, you're really keeping a good pace. I hope you can keep this up, but if you can't, you need to kind of dial it down a little bit because you're going so fast. And I said, it's like somebody's riding with me, and it's probably friends that I lost overseas, you know, and
Wow.
that's, you know, and I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's like, you know, those are the guys that, you know, are forever young, and, you know, they'll never age. And I remember them the way they were. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're on the bike and you start talking to them and you start thinking about them. And a lot of it was that. And so, but with Hope Village, it's like my heart. And,
Yeah.
you know, I really hope that not just Mississippi, but the rest of, because once we get to California and we start promoting it, you know, it'll be all over. Like, good gracious, anybody passing us is going to see this big, huge sign that says Hope Village for Children with a little Venmo code on it.
Yeah. Dear America, from California to what state you
Annapolis,
in?
Maryland.
Maryland. Be on the lookout for Ed
Yeah.
Abdella and donate. Look at that. Look for that Venmo code.
Venmo and whatever,
Venmo
PayPal,
donate
whatever they do
to
that.
help a minor find a home, to help
Yeah.
Hope Village shelter that minor, to help somebody find
Yeah.
safety and dignity.
Jamie Cater owns it, but you know, Chris Bullock is, you know, he's the manager. He's hopefully he's going to be our new supervisor out here. But you know, he's been great. He went in on a Monday, you know, the day before the 4th of July when they're
Yeah.
closed, and he made all these sandwiches for me and said, "This is for you and your crew." And I'm like, "I can't believe you did this." He says, "Why wouldn't I?" He said,
Right.
"It's a great cause." He said, "You don't owe me anything." I said, "No, I'll make sure everybody knows that I was fueled by Cater's Market
Caters
chicken salad
Market.
sandwiches, you know, pimento
Caters Market.
cheese and turkey sandwiches and everything else they threw in that bag, you
And their
know.
BLT dip is fine.
Ah,
For anyone
wait.
who's watching, visit Meridian, visit
Yeah.
Mississippi, eat Caters Market.
So, you know, as you can tell by the jerseys, we have sponsors and whatnot. And one of my closest friends at West Lauderdale said, you know, we want to help you with this. And I was telling him a story about another guy who I rode the Natchez Trace with. His name was Les Crooks, who did RAAM and completed it. And I remember just, you know, what he put on his page. He said he asked 1,000 friends for $1,000 a piece. And of course, he teaches at a university, and he got it. He
Mm-hmm.
got like 1,100 people, and so he raised all that money for RAM. And I said, and she said, "Well, we never could come up with." I said, "I know, there's no possible way." She said, "What if we did $100 a teacher?" I'm like, "No, that's too much money. I couldn't come up with $100." I said, "You know what? What about 25?
Mm-hmm.
And what if we split it for the younger teachers? You know, we could do 1250 the month of September, 1250 the month of October." And she said, "We could do that." So um, I talked to my principal about it, and he said, "Yeah, that's a good idea." And I said, "This would be cool because I'm going to put, you know, Knight Rider with the, you know, the Knight logo, the Kingdom." And he said, "Man, I appreciate that." So one of my mentees, who I mentored up at Meridian High, is now the principal at Northwest. I'm sorry, Northeast,
Mm-hmm.
and he has a real heart for Hope Village. His name is Josh Harrington, and he calls up and says, "Hey, I hear you're doing this race across America. We want to help." And I said, "Oh man, I thank you so much." He says, "Wait a minute now, it comes with a string." I said,
Oh.
"What's the string?" He says, "What's in it for us if we raise more money than West Lauderdale?" I said, "Josh, that's not going to happen." He says, "Yes, it is. We will definitely beat you." And I said, "No, it's not going to happen." And I opened up my big mouth. I said, "I'll tell you what, I will put Trojan power on both
For the
of
heat
my."
is on.
Yeah, and I didn't think about it. I told, you know, my boss, Shane Rogers, I said, "So what do you think?" He says, "You know, they have more teachers than we do." And I said, "Oh, no." I said, "I'm going to cancel." He said, "Oh, no, no, you're not. No, you're not
Nope.
canceling that. No, we'll raise more money than them." Now he's like, "You know what? We better." So it's either going to be Trojan Power or West Lauderdale Knights. So I do. I encourage every teacher to get on board for Hope, because little do they know they have Hope Village kids in their class.
Absolutely.
They may not know it, but they really do.
They do. They
Yeah,
do.
they're all over the county.
I gotta admit, I got a little nervous there at the county schools. I'm a
Yeah.
Harrington fan.
You know,
Worked
I
with him at
love.
Meridian High School in
He's a
Northeast.
great guy. He's such a great principal for our district, and young and aggressive, and he's done great things at that school. So.
And what if he beats West Lauderdale? Well, stay tuned.
Here's the good thing.
We'll do a follow up on this story.
One of the guys at West Lauderdale told me, he says, "Well, just remember this. I actually created that emblem, so really it's kind of a West Lauderdale thing." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I'm still going to have Trojan power if we don't raise more money."
I like that though. That's how close we are, Lauderdale County, and we're all connected in Mississippi.
It's going to be neat. So
thank you for telling me that story. Now I really can't wait for the follow up. This is going to be great.
Yeah. Well, I hope we do. I hope everything. I think it'll go well. It's going to be. A lot of people are behind me, and that's good. So we'll do well.
Support Ed Abdella. Well, thank you again so much.
Thank you too.